Welcome, Jane.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Tell us who you're with.
Oh, thank you. I'm actually with a couple of different broker networks, and I find that there's just lots of value from different organizations. So I am a member both of the Franchise Brokers Association, FBA, and International Franchise Professionals Group, IFPG.
Wonderful. Well, we've heard great things about you. This is a well-deserved award, but we want to ask you, what do you think makes you successful as a broker?
Um, I think what makes me successful specifically is that I have a lot of empathy. I came from the financial services industry, and I am pretty risk averse with clients' money. I'm well aware of the failure possibilities out there, and I take great care to be sure that this person has what it takes, in my opinion, and B, that the business is well within their wheelhouse and their financial runway.
I
So I
love
think that's really the difference. I'm, very motivated by seeing my clients succeed. I'm supremely aware of the risk they're taking, and I take it really carefully.
Well, Jane, tell us a little bit more about your background. You say you came from the financial services industry. What does that background of yours look like?
Oh, yeah, I started with E.F. Hutton. That's going to age me. And that was in 1984, right out of college, and literally was there through 15 different business cards in that same corner office until I retired in 2012 at Morgan Stanley. So
What?
the same
Yeah.
firm through all the iterations. I managed $350 million in assets for mostly families and foundations.
So definitely working with individual families and their risk. You are well versed in that. But tell us, what made you go into brokerage?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny story. I had stayed home for a few years to raise my kids. And when the oldest one went off to college, I realized I really still had, you know, um, energy and needed a focus for all that energy. And I really thought I would buy a franchise because I had capital and this is how clueless I was. My understanding was I just invested the money and somebody ran it for me. Curiously, there are a few brands that are starting to launch a business model that looks like that right now. But anyway, it's back then. So I'm clicking around on the internet, tell me more, send me more. And my phone is lighting up with franchise brokers. And after sitting through a few of those calls and going through one of them in particular, his process, I was wowed. I just thought, this is the perfect scenario for me. It's problem solving, it's research, it's psychology. No one can manage people's assets and not be a good therapist. It's putting the pieces of the puzzle together. It's all of those things, and that's it. Just right away, it just clicked. It just clicked intuitively. This is what I need to be doing. And so I launched in 2015. Yeah,
That really is almost a second career for
it
you.
is.
So let's talk about us moms who have been at home. We've kept working, we've kept keeping our hands in the pot, trying to make sure we stay relevant. But what advice do you have for moms who are really wanting, we've just left maybe one half of our body at college. We do need to keep active, we need to keep in it. What advice do you have for people like us who are wanting to break into the brokerage industry?
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for women. It really is. We're naturally good at this. It's a very sexist and generalist statement, but we're good listeners, we're good problem solvers. You know, that's really what it takes, is to collaborate with your client, really be able to listen between the lines to what's not being said. This would be an awesome career for anyone who's been at home with their kids and doesn't quite know what they want to do. It takes a lot of gumption. It takes a lot of organization. It takes willingness to get on the phone and call total strangers. Let's be real. A lot of people are just not willing to do that. And lead generation is the thing in this business. So, but if somebody's willing to do that, oh my gosh, it's the perfect business for, a woman who doesn't want to go back. What I said to people was, I just don't want to put on pantyhose every day again. I don't want to have to get dressed and be there from 8 to 5. I don't mind working hard, but I want that flexibility to do it when I want to do it and in the way that I want to do it. And yeah, it's the perfect business for somebody who has a lot of resourcefulness and gumption and wants to help people.
You were definitely before your time in the work from home flexible model, that's for
Yeah.
sure. And now with COVID, we're 2 years, I want to say post pandemic now, but we all know we're still kind of in the pandemic. But 2 years into it, what are you finding as great franchisees? Who looks like a great franchisee to you right now? And what advice do you have for franchisors who are looking for those
Mm.
people?
Well, sorry, my light just went out. I have electricians working on my lighting. The there every brand has what they're looking for in a franchisee, and it's very, very different depending on the franchise. So I think it just comes back to what I said before, which is what I happen to be really good at is reading between the lines, know your client, understand their strengths and their not so strengths, understand what it is they'd be willing and able to do, what's in their wheelhouse, what's not, and really try and find the business that they can be successful at, given the skill sets and who they are as people and what they will be called upon to do daily as an owner in that business, and not being unrealistic about, oh, really? You're going to go to BNI and the chamber, and the guy's a complete introvert. I mean, there are some people that clearly, if that's what it takes to drive business in that particular business, and you've got an introvert on your hands, that's not the business you're gonna show him. So really, just understanding the models enough to even, and again, I work with 800 brands. I have a lot of independent contracts. So I don't know the ins and outs of every franchise. That's not my role. I'm not in the business of selling franchise. I am in the business of doing enough research at the front end and speaking to the development team about my candidate and what it is that the most successful owners do, and then being really honest. And I research 50, 60 brands for every client. It's kind of crazy overload, just to narrow it down and narrow it down and narrow it down to the 4 or 5 that I'm going to show them. So franchisees and different brands have to have different skill sets, and you have to know what those are.
Well, you can do this without the lights on. I can already tell that. So you don't need lights to do your job. Jane, what do you think winning looks like for you?
Oh, that's a good question. I think winning for me is having a successful placement, successful meaning my candidate loves their new business. They don't regret it. I keep in touch with everybody. And my first question a year later is, do you regret it? Are you regretting it yet? They don't regret it. They feel like they made the right choice. They're happy. Their families are happy. They can see a path towards where they want to be financially. So, strictly about the candidate and my client and how they are now doing in that business. And I get a lot of referrals. So clearly I'm doing something right.
I know that's really a correlation there. You're doing good if you get a lot of referrals. Well, Jane Stein, congratulations on this award. There's no doubt in my mind that you are one of the 2022 great franchise brokers. We hope to get to see you and catch up with you again soon.
Thanks, Jody. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.